Hey everybody, it's me again, bringing it to you live from Jerusalem. Um, I want to talk about a poll made by Israel Today, or Israel Hayom, about a day or two ago, that said that according to the poll of 308 11th and 12th graders, 59% of Jewish Israeli youths call themselves right-wing, 23% self-define as centrist, while only 13% are left-wing. Okay? The article continues to write where 82% say there's little to no chance of reaching a peace agreement with the Palestinians. Um, I want to go back to the first part of 11th and 12th graders, where 59% Jewish Israeli youths call themselves right wing. Okay, I think that estimate is pretty much right. I think it's a little low. I would want to think that it's a lot higher. But again, they only asked 308 kids. Um, Now, what my thoughts on this is that first of all, we're talking about 18-year-olds. We're talking about 17-year-olds, 16-year-olds. There's something that we have to remember. These kids went through a lot. These kids went through a time. First of all, they went through the second Intifada in the beginning of 2000, 2001, 3, 4, which was brutal. All right, I don't know if you guys know, remember, whatever, but buses were blowing up everywhere. Hundreds dead. Whatever is happening right now in Europe is nothing compared to what happened here in the beginning of the 2000s. Suicide bomb. We weren't ready. It was crazy. Um, and so they went through that as kids. They went through 3 wars in Gaza, 1 war in Lebanon, which was also all really, really, really tragic wars. Every war is tragic, obviously, but they went through 3 wars, which changed nothing. Um, they went through three rounds of failed peace talks, so they don't believe in peace. They don't believe that peace is an option. And they went through, and they're going through um, a wave of terror attacks that's been, hitting us ever since October, last October. Um, so I don't think I can blame them. That's the hard truth. I came to Israel. I immigrated to Israel in the early 2000s. I wasn't right. I wasn't left. I couldn't care less about politics. I couldn't care less about what happened here because I didn't know anything. I was, an American boy living in Chicago. I didn't know anything about anything. And then all of a sudden I come here and then I go through a terror attack and, I'm, you know, a victim of a suicide bombing here in Jerusalem. And there, I mean, you cannot not be right wing. You know what I mean? You cannot not believe that all of the Arab nations want to kill us and wipe us off the face of the earth. That's something that you cannot, as a kid, it's something that you cannot not believe when you go through that. Now, Israel is a small country, as you guys may know, and I think it's fair to say that I don't think that there's a kid or a person that doesn't know someone, a friend, a family member, someone who has been in or killed by a terrorist attack. Saying that, I don't think I can blame the kids for being so right wing. Um, and I think it's just getting worse. I think that as long as Israeli kids and Israeli schools continue to make to not make but to try and separate Israeli kids from Palestinian kids, I think the situation will be a lot worse. I know that most of Israeli kids up until the age of 18 never spoke to an Israeli their age, or to a Palestinian their age, um, much less a Palestinian. I think that it's not a. I'm pretty sure that until you go to the army, until you enlist into the army, into the IDF at the age of 18, you have absolutely no connection with the Palestinian people. They're like some idea, some people living somewhere in a very dark place in Israel or in the West Bank or in Gaza. But they never spoke to a Palestinian kid. I mean, kids are kids. They love the same things. They adore the same people. Okay? They love soccer. I mean, that's a great pastime here in Israel. I think that if an Israeli school or an Israeli kid would actually talk to a Palestinian and ask him and talk to him about their situation, I think that kids will be more tolerant and less right wing and more liberal than they are today. And that's not happening. It's just not happening. There's one school in Jerusalem. It's really on the border between East Jerusalem and West Jerusalem, in some neighborhood not far from here, where there's a mix of Jews and Arabs, and there's this really radical rabbi who has this group called Lehava, and he just sent a couple of kids, coming from broken homes with no education, and they were actually arrested for being responsible for throwing Molotov cocktails into that school. Now, I don't want to say that it's them 100% because I don't think that they were indicted. I don't know. But most of the people here in Israel know that it was them. I think that that's the only way that our future will be with peace and a solution, is that we start with the kids. And as long as kids don't have any interaction with Palestinians until the army, that's bad. Now, what makes matters not worse, but what's part of the problem is that they send these kids to while they're in school, they send them on field trips to Auschwitz, Birkenau, and all these concentration camps. And it gives them a feeling. It gives them a purpose, and it strengthens their patriotism. And then they get it in their head that everyone wants to kill us, and we're this little tiny speck of sand in the sea of Arab nations that surround us, which is true. It is true. I mean, we are surrounded, except for the sea, except for the Mediterranean Sea, we are surrounded by our enemies and by Muslim countries that would love it if we would not be here. But when it's only one-sided, when you only talk about patriotism and when you only talk about how the Jews and how the Jewish people have suffered and not acknowledge the suffering of the Palestinians, then that makes a right-winger. I mean, that's a perfect cocktail to make a right-winger. And kids are so impressionable, it's really easy to convince them one way or another. And I think it's really one-sided here. I think that it's unproportional. I think there's no proportion to where you're saying, okay, like in America where you have Black History Month, where the whole year you talk about this and this and that, and then in Black History Month you do surface you do talk about the darker side of American history, which I think is pretty cool. I think it's pretty great. You're admitting that you did wrong. You're willing to accept it. and and learn from your mistakes. And I wish that that was something that would be here in Israel too. I think that if a kid, again, if a kid would actually speak to a Palestinian kid his own age and say, "Hey, listen, I can't go to, I can't leave. I can't fly wherever I want. I can barely study because I have to work. I barely have TV. I have sewer running, in the streets. I have, uh, military searches in my house in the middle of the night because some reason, I don't know. But if I think that if the kids there, if I think that if the kids actually talk to to kids their same age, they would understand that it's not as black as white as they think or as they were taught. And I know a couple of Arabs, I know a couple of Palestinians, and I talk to them, and I've been there and done that, as they say. Um, and it's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. They just don't. They would rather not talk about it. They would rather not acknowledge how bad it is, and I think that's the main problem. Anyway, that's the poll. I'm going to link it down in the description. Please like, subscribe, share, do whatever you can, and I'll hit you back in a couple of days. Peace.